Hey there, YouTube. This is Mr. Budget coming with you with another deck profile. I know it's been about 4 weeks since my last video. Uh, Life. Things have been a bit hectic here, just trying to get the home front in order. But I have time right now, so I figured that I would do this deck that I've been working on, which by the thumbnail in the picture, you can see this is Sacrifice Glass. I come to find out that this deck is very fun to play. There are a few other options that you could choose to make this deck more your playstyle, and I'll talk a little bit more about those later on in the video. But for right now, this is what I've landed on and what I've come to see as just a starting block of what this deck could be. Now, this deck only has one run of support, which is in BTZ-03. I don't know the name of it, but someone leave in the comments what the name of the set is. But this deck has been shown. Everyone thought this deck was not going to be good, but it has shown to be a contender out of the gate. But enough said, let's show you what I came up with for Sacrifice Glass in the budget landscape and a few more tech choices you can choose to update or improve on this playstyle. So for the ride line, we're sticking true to the ride line. We're using Sacrifice Glass. The ability of Glass is that once it is your turn, he gives you, the Vanguard, the player, the ability that whenever a rear guard or a guardian is retired, you may energy charge one. So this deck completely surrounds itself around the playstyle of using energy to the fullest, outside of just the Energy Blast 7 and drawing a card. His other ability is at the end of the battle that he attacked, you may Energy Blast 4 and search your deck for a grade 3 from your deck hand or drop stone with Dogma in its card name. That will be the manifestation of Great Skyline Dogma. That's the other grade 3 in the deck. We'll get to her in a minute, but going back to the ride line, when you ride her, she gets drive -2, but she gets plus 15k power. And there's a reason why these two are important with each other, and we'll continue that in a second. The grade 2 of the ride line is Enrapturing Satation Sheffy. I don't know why they make these names so hard to pronounce. Her ability is when she's rolled upon by glass, you may search out one copy of the Order, which is Sakrahim Bait. We'll get to that in a minute. So for the rest of her ability is that you may Soul Blast one when rolled by glass to find this card. Her other ability is when she's placed on rearguard, if you have a Dogma in your damage zone, you may add that card to your hand, and the card from your hand goes to the damage zone. It doesn't stay face down, so if you have all your counter blasts face down, but you know there's a Dogma in there, this is a good way to countercharge. The grade 1 of the ride line is Welcoming Flower Basket Hop Pop. Weird name. Her abilities is unique to say the least. She's a ride variant, so her ability is that if you're riding into the grade 2, you and your opponent both draw a card instead of you discarding a card, which I don't know why they gave the ability for your opponent to draw a card that's going to help them. They never explained that, or no one's ever explained it to me. But giving your opponent card advantage doesn't seem like the way to go. But having not to ditch a card and add a card from your hand, you can't really pass it up. Last but not least, we have the starter. Sorry, there's a bit of a glare there. We have the starter, normal starter, but it fits the theme of the grade 1, grade 2. Okay, that is the entirety of the ride line. I'll just stick this one underneath here. Going on to the grade 3, we'll shift these down 1. We are also running 3 copies of Glass, which is, of course, Persona Ride and all that. We are running 4 copies of Dogma. So what Dogma's skill is, for those who don't know or are indoctrinated, when this card is bound, so her first ability is whenever this card is bound, banished, whatever, through any other means besides herself, she would immediately move herself from the bind zone into the drop zone automatically. So Norakami, things like that, doesn't affect her. Or any cards like Nubatama that binds from the hand doesn't affect her. But her other ability is that At the end of the battle that this unit attacked, you may retire one of your opponent's rear guards. If there are no copies of her bound, you bind her at the end of the turn, and then rewrite into glass. But if there is one card of her bound, you retire another one of your opponent's rear guards and then bind her and then rewrite glass. But the kicker is, if you have two copies of her bound, which you want to get to, she stays your vanguard and has the ability to restand. Now, you don't have to use Glass's ability to go into her. If you ride her from the hand while you already have two of her face up, she becomes a restanding double twin drive, no drive checks lost vanguard for the rest of the game. So that's kind of the threshold you want to get to. And both Glass and Dogma surround themselves with the Sakrahim bait. So this order is the key to playing this card. It has the effect for both vanguards, Glass or Dogma. For Glass's effect, you may counterblast one, perform the effect for Glass. Your opponent rear guards and cards in their drop zone lose all of their auto and continuous abilities, and then your opponent calls up to 3 cards from his drop zone, he or she drop zone, to rear guard circle, to an open rear guard circle. Now, the way this works is, if your opponent only has one circle, they only call one unit, but if they have 3 or more open spots, they call 3. And those units cannot be moved, and they don't have their auto or continuous abilities. And then between you and your opponent's rear guards, for every 3, you draw 1. So if there are only 3 rear guards, you draw 1. If there are 6, you draw 2. If there's a full board of 10 on 5 on 5 on both sides, you draw 3 cards because it's 9. And then that's how this card works. Now, for Dogma's ability, same cost as a counterblast. If Dogma is your vanguard and you did not ride her during your ride phase, you may consider this a persona ride. So you get plus 10k to the front row and draw a card. Then you choose any number of cards from your drop zone with different grades outside of a heal or an over trigger, return them to the deck, and shuffle the deck. So this is a good way to recycle your triggers outside of your heal and your over triggers. You can recycle your persona rides, your PGs, any cards you may need that you might want to find and go into. Speaking of which, this is one of the reasons why we're going to run one of those tech cards later on in the video what we're going to talk about, and why it's so important to run that tech card. But this, like I said, this is just a starting block for those who want to see what this deck can do. And probably get a good understanding of how to play the deck before you start adding the more expensive tech cards. Okay, those are all of the grade 3s. We're just going to move them down right here like we normally do in the videos now. Going into the grade 2s, next is, it's a big glare right here. I apologize for that. We're going into Eternal Musician Musi. This is the grade 2 that came along with Glass and Sacrifice. Musi has 2 effects depending on which vanguard you are on. Whether you're on Glass or Dogma, his first ability is for Glass. Whenever your vanguard with Glass attacks, you may choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. So multiple of Musis means multiple retire effects going off at the exact same time. If your vanguard is Dogma and she attacks, he gets plus 10k. So the fact that Dogma can attack twice once you get to her threshold, he's naturally getting a buff of 20. So he's a 30k on Dogma's turn no matter what, once you get to that threshold. Next, we're playing 3 copies of Lego Wildmaster Darius. Darius has the effect that when this unit attacks, if your opponent's vanguard is grade 3, you may counterblast one and soul charge one. He gets plus 5k, and if you have 3 or more units other than himself, that 5 becomes a 10 instead. So he's another 20k beater. This is the tech spot for the other card I will talk about later. Actually, I can talk about it right now. So for his spot, if you want to increase the ability of this deck, I would add Fame Blazing Demonic Lady Orins. So the reason why I would add her is that because her ability is whenever you play an order card, which you naturally, because you have the hourglass, you may soul charge one card, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and add any card whose grade is equal to or less than your vanguard. Looking for cards like that. Then she also has the ability when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater vanguard, grade 3 or greater unit, my apology, You may Soul Blast 3 cards, draw a card, and she gets plus 5k. You're really not using her for that ability. You're really using her for her search ability to search out your pieces. So that's what you can play in the spot of Darius. Our next grade 2 is another card that came with this set. That is another 3 copies of Sheffy. Again, like I said, you want to search out your pieces out of your damage zone whenever it comes up. Either that, or she's just a body on board or a card to discard. Now, the last grade 2 that we're playing is 2 copies of Fancy Night Parade. The reason why we're playing this card, because again, we have a lot of cards that soul charge for you. If you do end up getting a trigger in there, Fancy's skill is you can Energy Blast 2, which you will have an abundance of because of Glass. You can choose any card in your soul, move it to the Guardian Circle, and give it plus 10k shield. So a 15k shield becomes a 25k shield. For those who played in Premium, you can kind of think of this as your discard fodder for a G Guardian who has higher shield value. So because of this, most of your cards are either going to become 15k shields or 25k shields. So those are all of the grade 2s that we play in the deck. So now we're going to move those to the side. So those can go there. Again, I'm sorry for the glare, guys. I got to get a new lighting system. Okay, grade 1s now. We are playing 4 copies of Miasmic Beast, Madaluda. Hard to name to pronounce. Now, this is another one of the cornerstones of this deck. This card has the ability Act once per turn. Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand. He gets the red text that you may activate your order card from your drop zone. But if you do, you put it to the bottom of the deck. So if, let's say for example, you have you played all 3 copies of your order, you have none left, no way to get them back. This allows you to play them and then recycle them back into your deck. He also has the ability at the end of the turn, you may Energy Blast 5, which again, you're going to have abundance of. You can draw 1 card, and that effect is not once per turn, so you can use them on multiple, though, if you have them enough energy to support it. Of course, we're also playing 4 PGs. That's not to be said. You can drop one of these for the Blitz Order Shield if you like. You don't have to. Last is our last grade 1. We're playing 4 copies of Mary Wildmaster Avro. So again, we're playing 2 Wildmasters in the deck. So again, and before I go into her skills, the other card that you can take out here for this is 2 cards. Unfortunately, I don't have the other card. It is the grade 2 that allows you to search for the grade 2 set order, which gives your units boost. Someone can put down in the comments what that card name is. It evades me right now, so I apologize. But that's another card you can put in her spot. But if you rather have a grade 1 in her spot, again, something to find orders, especially that grade 2 order, that grade 2 set order, I would recommend playing a copy of Avrance Rester. Okay, sorry for that. The ability of this card is when this unit is placed from the hand. If you do not play an order this turn, you may search out an order out of your deck and put it into your drop zone, and you may play the order from the drop zone. So same skill as this one. And then if you do, you put the order to the bottom deck. But normally you would want to, if you're playing that order package with the grade 2 that allows your units to boost, the card will never go to the bottom deck because it'll be put into the order zone as a set order. That's what this card is for. But the reason why I don't run it in here right now, A, because I haven't tested it out, and B, once you do that, these become dead cards in your hand. They don't do anything outside of that because you don't need to search up your grade 3 orders, and you don't need this card to play them from your drop zone, and you can't play blitz orders from your drop zone because it's only on your turn. So that's why I kind of am iffy about that. I would rather you play if you don't want to use the Wildmaster, which we're about to get into, I would rather you play that other grade 2 again. Sorry, it eludes me. But that other grade 2 allows you to do it a lot cleaner and and not allowing you to waste so many cards in your hand. So that's my recommendation on that. But going into this card, her ability is when placed, you may soul charge 1. And then if your Vanguard is grade 3, if another card is introduced to her column, once per turn she gets plus 5k power. So she's a 13k booster. So The fact of the matter that you're constantly riding in and out between Dogma and Glass. If she's just sitting on the board, as soon as you go, you normally want to put. Sorry, I'm rambling. I apologize. Normally, what I do, I call her behind the Vanguard, and then when I use Glass's ability to ride into Dogma, because I'm putting a new card in her column, she'll get plus 5k power. So I'll always leave it there. So at least at minimum, Dogma's column will be 13, which is 26 plus the 15, which is 36, 46, 41 at best. Outside of a Persona ride, it would be 51, but 41 is the number where Dogma's column will always be with this card. So that's why I kind of use her, but also I use her for the soul charging effect. So we're running a wild, so technically speaking, we're running a wild master package in this deck, which you could replace these cards and maybe one or two other cards for a order package. If you guys are interested in seeing that deck build, leave a comment down below, leave a like, subscribe, and if I get enough likes on this video, let's say 10 likes. If I get 10 likes on this video, I will update this deck with a order package and show how that deck works. Okay, those are all of the grade 1s. Last but not least, we're going to go into the triggers. Of course, we're playing the Dark States Over trigger. We're playing 3, 7 crit, 4 front, and 4 heal. Now, you don't need draw triggers in the deck because, again, with using Glasses in the order skill, and then Dogma being a double attacking twin driving card, you'll have plenty of cards in your hand, and also the grade 1 ability to draw card. You'll have plenty of cards in your hand to defend yourself, so you really don't need any draw triggers in this deck. Now, the only thing that I would say to upgrade this deck is I will swap out these fronts for the effect fronts. That way you have bigger shield value. Crits, you really don't care about the effect crit because it just goes into soul. You really don't care that much about that plus 2k power. If you want to, I personally don't like them because they're too situational, but you can use the effect heals of your choice. I see that the Dark States O trigger is the best one for this deck because it gives a lot of pressure down the middle column. But I do see reasonings for the red OT and the purple OT in this deck. Healing is very good, and being able to call another attacker is really good. And blue, again, red OT, same thing. Having a unit swing twice as a rear guard really does help the deck a lot. So I would say for OT wise, anywhere between Dark States to red or to purple would be best for this deck. But that is all. But if you want to see this deck in action, like I said, leave a like. If we get 15 likes on top of the 10 I've already asked for, I will do a fight video with this deck against maybe someone from my team or someone at my locals. If you guys want to see more videos or fight videos, especially local fight videos, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see, or what other decks that you're interested in seeing out of set 3 or the upcoming set 4. But as always, this has been Mr. Budget. Let me just clean this mess up. Unfortunately, this video is going to be raw, not no editing like normal, but I appreciate you guys bearing with me. But things have been kind of tight, like I said earlier in the video, but we won't talk about that. But if you guys liked the video, your support helps us a lot. Like I said, I'm gonna say it again, I've been rambling. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. The more support we get, the better we can get to giving you more content that you want at a faster pace. But until then, I have been Mr. Budget. He has been Glass. And please don't be sacrificed. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.